Okay, so our next panel of questioners is the Mighty Dino. His program comes on every
Saturdays at 12 to 1. Thank you. So first of all, let me congratulate all of you for having the courage to do this. Ray was on my show, and I always like to ask that question about what made you go and run for office. So props to you all. I want to give a little context to my question, and this is going to speak to you all as you face the challenge of one day becoming a public office holder. And that's this. Around 2010, the city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles, started picking up the dubious distinction of being the wage theft capital of the nation. Today, the county of LA is still the wage theft capital of the nation. On average, $28 to $30 million are stolen every single week, a majority of which is impacting immigrants, other migrants, women, people of color. For the last 15, 16, whatever years, every new wave, every new generation of elected officials, especially those that come in with the passion, with the drive, with the dedication, the determination to make changes. As somebody who's worked in public policy for as long, 30 years, this has been one of the issues, full transparency, that I've been a part of. And in the last 3 years, we've been looking at possible changes all of a sudden. For the first time, it's 2010. And then 3 years ago, we were told, budget, we're not going to be able to pass these changes. A year later, budget, we're not going to be able to pass these changes. And all of a sudden, I found myself saying to my colleagues in the public policy arena that I work in, yeah, we're going to keep going as the wage theft capital of the nation. Here's where I'm getting at. Many of the folks who came into office since that dubious distinction in 2010, we've had 3 mayors, Villaraigosa, Scarcetti, and Bass. We've had dozens of council members, some that turned out, new ones that came in, some lost. And again, every once in a while, you'd get somebody to say with passion, that's going to change under my watch. And here we are, 2026, and we still hold that distinction. At some point, everybody who previously said, I'm going to make that change because that's ridiculous, came up against one universal truth. You're walking into a system. I think it was Ray who said, we need to change the system. But once you go into the machine, Assad, you find out the reality, and I've heard it firsthand from elected officials who've said, Dino, it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. You have to play politics. And here's my question. If and when you all get elected, how will you mitigate that reality? Because every step of the way, as we campaign, we have promises, we have realities that we say, look, this is what we need to do. And you walk in there, you realize the system hasn't changed whatsoever. You are walking into that system. So my question to you all is, how do you mitigate that reality? You, after all, will become at that point a politician. And you will have to negotiate. And you will have to come to, what is it, not collaborations, what's the word that I'm looking for? Compromises. You will have to compromise. And you will look back and say, okay, Dino, maybe we might not be able to address that. And what do you say to the constituents then? So I just kind of want to put it out there because I think this is the reality. In my experience in public policy, almost 30 years, I've never not seen this happen to some degree or another. What do you say to that? Sorry I took long.
Dino, I'm so glad you asked that question. By the way, this is Ray Huang. Because here's the thing. This is the reason why I'm running the campaign as we are is because I'm a community organizer. For us, this has never been about the moment. This has never been about just getting to November. This has always been about building a movement that is lasting. Every single person that has been touched by our campaign that we bring to volunteer, we actually organize them. We train them in organizing 101, and we organize them to organize their neighbors, who organize their neighbors, and organize their neighbors. I'm proud to say we have, I believe, now over 30 neighborhood captains across the city who are organizing their whole neighborhood. We have 99 neighborhoods, by the way, in the city of Los Angeles. So that way they are organizing their neighbors, canvassing, learning political strategy, learning how to power map, learning how to carry out house meetings. So that way we understand that we're building something far bigger. The goal of my campaign has been one, to be able to bring faith and hope and belief that things can change. Because if you feel in despair, you will not participate. And we need people to be able to participate and feel like they're full partners in the city. The second is to be able to bring them into this organizing movement, connecting them with different organizations on the ground who are moving power. Number three is to give them solutions, real solutions that we have been acting upon, such as the participatory budgeting process, which is part of my platform, which is social housing, which is fast and free buses, which we've already done before during the pandemic, which is a public bank. These are the ways that we can fully transform a system that needs to be changed.
Oh, systems. I say let's reset the system. That's what I'm going to do in my LA Now app. One of the big things that I'm a big proponent of is having a digital bill of rights because, we have advanced so much with technology. But until Congress gets their act together, my LA Now app is the next best thing. Imagine having a world where we could have a Yelp type review system that works in real time for all of our leadership. I think this is a great way to be able to hold people accountable in real time and actually, instead of compromising, saying, no, these are the things that we want as people to be passed. These are the things that our community needs, and this is how we're going to do it. So, and the great thing about it is, as a mayor, that gives me a bully pulpit to also hold these people accountable. If I'm able to see, Nithya spent $2 million building 2 bathrooms in Runyon Canyon, I'm like, hey, what's happening over there? Why are we overspending on something that we all know we can get for like 30 grand? So having that level of transparency and accountability is going to be key, and that's a great solution and part of my campaign on how we're going to change things.
Thank you. This is Asad Al-Najjar. So as a senior manager, whenever I did any of the bids and the projects, I always insisted on the certified wages list because that was my own contribution within my little bound of the projects that I handle to put a limitation on the wage theft. The wage theft is happening a lot, yes. I've discussed it with the DA Hockman a couple times to find solutions on that. Like Ray was mentioning, the neighborhood council, when it started 26 years ago, we had the power to go in and try to do, even though we always stumble on a closed door, but that never stopped us from speaking until we had City Attorney Mike Fura. He put a gag order on us in which I've been fighting since 2016 to get over it. Heidi Stein still tried to put gag on us for us in the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council not to speak about anything because they go, okay, you're a city employee, you're a Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, and then you're just coming and say, I am an Angelino? Yes, I am an Angelino. I speak as an Angelino. The way we do it, we expand what I've been doing as a little senior manager in there on a citywide. And then we get the empowerment from the future city attorney to the neighborhood councils. Thank you, sir.
Okay, city theft is, the labor theft is a very important, wage theft is an important aspect that we need to tackle, of course. But I think that more important is the whether a candidate is actually independent of the special power. I think that's very important. My candidacy has been, by the way, my name is Andrew Kim, I apologize, has been beholden to none. And that's my motto. And as you can see that, look for people whose candidate is supported by special interests. I think when you see that, then that person probably is going to be compromised by those interests. So the fact that we don't see those 3 other candidates here speaks a volume that they don't need you guys. They just need those special interests to get elected, so they don't really need you guys. So I think that that's one way of knowing it. I think that we need to have a independent audit of all the departments so that our government, city government, is run efficiently. We did have a Department of Efficiency, but somehow it disappeared, defunded, but we need to bring it back. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm John Logsdon. As far as the wage theft, and I think this is where we are in 2026, honestly. I think we're at the precipice of where technology is here and accountability is here. So we should be very transparent where everything is going, how the money is being spent. Now, I'm not a politician, sure. I've signed up to run for mayor, so automatically I'm sure like all of us all of a sudden are politicians, right? We're up here, I'm up here talking right now. But what I'm saying is that like, when you get to City Hall, when you are the mayor and you're trying to, like as I was saying before, I was raised in a household that was a divided house. I was a Republican dad, Democratic mother. So I like to think that I personally bring people together. That's why I feel like that's where my leadership is. And as far as being accountable, and there's things that come up, sure, we need to play the game. Someone wants something over here in this district, someone wants something over here, and we got to do that. We actually have to come to a compromise. And that is where politics becomes that fine line. But I think what we need to be is we really need to be just transparent. So I have an ideology that I believe in, and if I'm going to try to go forward with that, and I'm going to try to push, but there's pushback on that, and I have to compromise, at least with accountability and transparency, the people that voted for me will know where I stand. Thank you.
Tish Hyman, 3 things: audit, improve, replace. We audit, we find out what works, and if it works, we improve it, and if it doesn't work, we replace it with a system that does work. In regard to how I would deal with other politicians, one, if you look up here, you'll see a lot of people who are running for office who are not politicians. They are people who care. And these are not the only candidates that are coming up and trying to get into seats. There are a lot of council seats that are coming up right now, and really people who care are there. So what I'm counting on is going into a city council, because we have a weak mayor system. So no matter what I want to do, I have to work with the city council. So what I'm really good at, of what I learned in the music business, which is almost an impenetrable business, and I've been for Grammys and worked with Alicia Keys, Ty Dolla $ign, Kanye, it doesn't really matter, but the point is you have to negotiate high stakes, and there's high cost if you don't negotiate properly. I'm a master negotiator. I love people, and I believe at the core of everyone there's some little slight slither of good, and if it's in there, I'm gonna find it, I'm gonna heighten it, and I'm gonna bring it to the room. I can change the energy of any room that I walk in, and I believe in myself and my ability to unite people under one truth. We all want safety, we all want prosperity, and we all want a fiscal responsibility at the forefront of our government. Thank you so much. Tish Hyman.
Thank you. My name's Andre A. Salivra, running for Los Angeles mayor. So, wage theft, it's a problem, right? We need a system that actually works, right? We keep hearing this. The system is broken. The system is broken. I'm literally a systems engineer by trade. I'm one of the top systems engineers in the entire United States. I've been doing it for 15 years. Companies call me when their systems are broken to fix them. Why? Because I'm good at working cross-functionally with lots of people across dozens of departments, teams, executive people, people working in the warehouses, people working in marketing or other departments, right? I can do this at City Hall to investigate the situation, figure out what's going on there, create a solution, right? We create multiple solution plans, figuring out which one of these has its pros and cons, and then we align the people. This is the most important part. We need a mayor who's going to align the people, use the power of the microphone, use the cultural power of the mayorship to align the people behind a common cause. That's why as mayor for Los Angeles, every second Sunday, once a month, outside of City Hall, I'm gonna give a State of the City address, where I will address the people of Los Angeles, right on the steps, telling you what's working, what's not working, who are the roadblocks, who are the people that are preventing us from making progress in our city. I will identify them by name because I'm an independent, right? And I'm fighting for our city, working class people of our city. And I will tell you, the people, how you can get involved, how you can put pressure, where the pain points are, and so we can get aligned to make real progress and real change in our city. My name's Andre Salivra. Vote for me on June 2nd. Thank you.
Okay, did everybody answer that question? I want to do something a little different. There's a lot of issues. Great question, because the system is a mess. It's a mess, and sometimes it's hard to get out of it. You get compromised. It's so easy to compromise and be corrupt in politics. It's so easy. But I want to look at the question of safety. Now I want to ask a couple of candidates who had opposing views to come up with the policing thing and redoing the budget. I think you two, I want you up there, and you, if you all go to the mic, I want you to, because some wanted to increase the police budget and others said we have to reimagine. So what I want you to talk to each other of how and why it should or should not work. My opinion, I guess I'm allowed to give my opinion, is that I heard on the radio this morning, not a different station, I shouldn't say it, but that there was a situation where a family won a multi-million-dollar settlement because a police officer planted a taser on a gentleman, planted a taser on him. And he said, oh yeah, my life was in danger, blah, 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 blah. So when we keep saying retrain, but it's a culture that's been there. Like when Dino talked about the system, that system has been there and has not been kind to just the grassroots people. It's been kind to the people with the money and in power. So I want y'all to dialogue with that. Why it should be, yeah. You were anti and you were pro. So another, yeah. I want you up there, yes?
John wants to.
And then,
John wants to increase the taxation
right.
on that side.
I want 2 and 2. So,
We're against their
so
big.
yeah, so I want you to talk to each other. I mean, I think studies have shown that more police does not stop safety.
Right.
And then we have to look at the reality of it. The reality is that the police put drugs in the black community.
Right.
That's true. That's right.
And, we have to look at this. So I want y'all to dialogue about that.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and lead off on this one because I honestly think that. Great, awesome. So, look, as I've said before, there's a culture problem at LAPD. My name's Andre Saliver, running for LA mayor. There's a culture problem at LAPD, right? The fact that some of these officers would even do this, it's despicable, and it's a fireable offense. But the problem is the police unions protect them, right? They're protecting the bad cops. They're protecting each other because they see themselves like a brotherhood. We need to make it expensive to be a bad cop. I'm actually personally in favor of professional liability insurance for police. We're gonna stop paying for the liability payouts of our LAPD. When they commit infractions, when they're violating our rights, when they're hurting people, it's gonna start coming out of their pocket, right? We're gonna make sure that they have to buy professional, and look, we can even give each one of them $5,000 a year. Go buy your insurance. If you're a good cop, it might only cost you $2 or $3. If you're a bad cop, it might cost you $10, $20, $30,000 a year to be a bad cop in LA. And that needs to be known, because then the police unions can't protect them. Then their own pocket is gonna hurt. And that's how we're gonna fix this situation.
Okay, so basically in any entity, there is the good, the bad, and the ugly. For me, being an immigrant, in the 80s, my first encounter with the police was like, hey, camel jockey, why are you speeding in your car? And it's like, okay, camel jockey, where did that come from? Or then after the September 11, I'm up to date, I'm labeled as the terrorist, the Arab terrorist who's gonna blow us up. And even if you got now into my Instagram, oh, what are you gonna do? You're gonna recruit more terrorists? Is the culture, not only the LAPD, the whole city culture. And it's not only, the BLM is not only Black Lives Matters, it's Brown Lives Matters too. Because we are in the same category. The Arabs, the Latins, the Hispanic, the blacks, we are all in one pot in which our rights are gone. I'm for balancing. Do you see, there is net balance. Look, we cannot have no law or an order. We need police force for speeding, for safety, for whatever is going. Look, the crime, whoever is doing the crime can be any color. Who's ever selling whatever it is, who's ever stealing, can be white, can be brown, can be black, can be anything. So you need a system. I'm for balancing it. We lost the civilians. John and I volunteer so that we fill in some of the work. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought it's an open discussion. I wish, yeah, okay. Sorry, I'll give it to John.
Oh, yeah. Ray can go first.
Okay.
We'll just go.
Sure. I mean, the thing is, the history of the police, where they come from, is from slave catchers.
Right.
That is the history of the police. Who are the police protecting? What is the police trying to protect? Anybody know it there?
Private property.
That's right. Capital, private property. So if the police is meant to serve people, they're not, that's not what they were meant to ever do. That is the history of police. And we've seen it here in the history of Los Angeles, how corrupt, how historically racist, classist, homophobic, transphobic, all the sexist, all the things, you could name them, right? And so what we need to do, what Black Lives Matter is inviting all of us to do, is to reimagine what real public safety actually looks like and feels like. Because the Black community, out of all of our communities, including the Indigenous community, we are the ones under threat. They are the ones dying on our streets. And so in what way do we have a gang, an office, a department dedicated to killing our own? You want to talk about real safety? Let's talk about the fact that we have less police officers than we've ever had, and we have lowered homicides.
Crime's down.
And we're still increasing our police budget. Why? Because the Olympics are coming here, and they're here to protect the capital and the power and the wealth of those who come and see us, this city of ours, as a playground. Well, enough is enough. Let's reimagine what real public safety looks like, and that means having people's needs actually met.
And real quick, I just want you. Okay, please
Well,
applaud.
okay.
That's great. Please
Does
applaud.
it work?
And I
Okay.
really, real quick, I just want to add real quick to that. She identified something that's really, I'm just going to add a quick second, something that's really important. We need to make sure that there's also an educational component, mandatory education, right, for our LAPD, because let me tell you, 2 times so far on this campaign, while I was flyering in public, doing my First Amendment right, LAPD cited me. I was cited by police officers twice because they don't even have enough education to do their job. So I think that's
Okay.
important too.
Here's the thing. This is amazing. Sly, thank you for having this. What's that? Oh, yeah, I'm John Logsdon. But thank you, Sly, for having this little discussion right here. Okay, we live in Los Angeles, right, which has the crazy history of the LAPD and police. Probably out of anywhere in the world, maybe, right? So here's the thing. I wish there was no cops. I think we all do. None, zero. But unfortunately, we do need law and order because there's people stealing stuff. There's things just going on. I wish it was just all kumbaya and love and butterflies, but it's unfortunately not. And so we definitely need law enforcement. Now, I am all for, like I mentioned earlier, for having like when not everybody needs to be doesn't need to be a badge that shows up every time there's an actual incident. It could be somebody else is coming in like a negotiator that makes things happen. Like I mentioned, the circle team. But we still definitely need to have police in this society in LA. One day, maybe way down the road, we will get back to where we need to be, and we don't need police. But right now, we do. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Ray, I think you belong in Soviet Union. With all respect. And this is Andrew Kim speaking. I think that right now, the fundamental part of American tradition is life, liberty, and property, private property. Yes. And all races have a private property, not only whites or Asians. And we need to protect them for the well-being of a nation and of our city. I want to hear what. Yeah.
Well, let's move forward. First, I have to say the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore.
Let me-
It got dissolved. But I wanted 2 and 2, so we're going to move forward.
Can I just jump into one really quick? As the only black life on the stage, please? Because I hear this word and I hear these things and I'm like, okay, interesting. Listen, guys, I understand that there has been police brutality. I grew up in the ghetto. I do understand what we're saying. But like I said, there needs to be balance. Jingle bells, that song where it originated, it was a terrible origination for that song, but we're not gonna stop singing it at Christmas. Listen, police started out as slave catchers. It's been a long time since they've been catching slaves. We need to focus here. We got cameras for a reason. We have accountability, and if we can, I like the idea that he said, it coming out of their own pockets, their mistakes they make. Yes, they would make fewer mistakes. Ray, you're very sweet, but I don't know where you grew up. I grew up in America. We need police officers, okay?
All right.
We're not gonna play this defund the police crap. We know we need protection. Who are you gonna call when something happens to you? Ghostbusters?
Time is up.
Let's be for real.
Okay, let me do clarification. Let me do a clarification again. They're not saying defund the police. They're saying reimagine, rechannel the money to other things that might work. So- but they are, so we're not going to get into that semantic debate. All right, excuse me, please, we're moving forward. Now, at this point, I want to see if anybody in the audience has a question. All right, let me see. Where's one of my volunteers? One of my volunteers come and grab this mic, please. All right, grab that wireless mic. We want questions from and then we'll go back to the panel with Chan.
First and foremost, I
One
want
second. Is everybody tired? Anybody want to take like a 10-second stretch? They keep going. Excuse me. They're ready. All right, go ahead. Your name, if you'd like, and your question.
Certainly. My name is Philip Walker, and I do want to thank, I actually know a lot of these people too, and thank you all for getting up and really standing up for your city. And I do want to say that first and foremost. We may all disagree, but we all agree that we love this city and that we're here for it. And I know that you all have worked hard. Like, I've seen you all work hard. So I want to say that first and foremost, and that's very important.
And your question.
The thing that thank you. The question I want to ask too is, like, the point becomes this: like, some people need protection from the police, and I want to actually give you an anecdote from 2020 when I was actually involved in the protests in Santa Monica, and I literally watched platoons of police run past looters with buckets full of shoes to beat the living crap out of protesters. My question becomes, can people actually acknowledge that there is a problem with policing, that this country was built to oppress black people, that the slave catchers, and yeah, there are still slaves, to be clear, look up the 13th Amendment. So can people actually acknowledge that? And they talk about this and that and Brown and all of that, but can you actually acknowledge the way that this country is constituted to keep people of color and black people down, to brutalize them, and to cloak it in wording like
All right,
safety,
we think
like
we have
law and
just
order? Can you
for
acknowledge
time.
that?
Okay, here we go.
And just very quickly, as passions do grow, be careful. Remember, this is going to be on radio, and you don't want
No
to knock
cussing.
us off. No cussing, correct.
My brother, I
It's gonna make
definitely
me
hear
work.
you.
I have to edit it out. I don't want to do no
I
editing.
can acknowledge that, yes, there has been police brutality. My brother was beaten nearly to death in the 90s by the police, not at a protest, just in his neighborhood. Things happen, tensions rise, things get out of control, but there's no reason to paint the whole entire brush. We need the police. They need better training. They need accountability. We need to hire, more diverse people to work in the neighborhoods that maybe they grew up in so that they actually know how to deal with the people. There's got to be balance, my brother. We cannot say that we don't need police because something happened.
Okay,
It's happened. It's time to move on and move forward together.
I'm going to interject
We're a
here.
community.
I'm going to interject here. I think you answered his question, but he's not saying that we don't need police. We're saying,